And the
Mhm.
main point is just to have a conversation. It's not a question and answer. It's more like two friends having conversation, and you are on the podcast because you have some valid points to contribute. Because you have experience, that not only in Helsinki but in life, because you have done work in Poland, and you have a professional experience of how it is to work in Poland compared to in another country. What are the challenges back home versus here? And no, the main idea of the podcast with Entergrate is definitely to mention, like, because every time when we say immigrant, people are thinking brown people maybe or Asians, right? But you are an immigrant, right?
Yeah, that's
It,
true.
you're from
Yeah,
Poland,
I
but
am
you're
from
immigrant
Poland.
itself. Within the EU,
Yeah,
there's always cross movement all the time, but
that's true.
people are not thinking that maybe mentally. So it's important to
Yeah,
also, I feel like, break that kind of mental blockage.
yeah,
Okay,
basically.
let's get deeper into that, but let's just start let me start the intro of the podcast because we already have quite a bit of material and it's heavy. So yes,
Yeah.
Julia, welcome to the podcast. It's the second episode. And could you just introduce yourself to our audience and give us a little bit details about who you are, where you're from, and how did you become part of Entergrate?
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Julia. I'm from Poland. I came to Finland to learn goldsmithing, which I think is like maybe a little bit unusual, but that's the truth. Um, so far, living here was quite an adventure, and after many different experiences, I moved to Helsinki and started studying business. So I got involved in a lot of events as a volunteer, and this is how I found people from Entergrate through TEDWiki. And honestly, like the Entergrate as a group, like made a good impression on me because it showed people from different backgrounds and with different opinions, but with similar goal and like drive to make things better. So that's why I decided to join.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Yes. So, before the intro, we had already started discussing something, and
Yes,
it was in much more heavier topic than I think we had earlier planned. But yes,
that's true.
could you share that question one more time?
Which one?
It was about the fact that people exploiting each other in order to stay in a different status level. Is that it?
Yes, yes. I think this is something that started maybe growing and boiling in my head since I listened this no audiobook of Hariri's book,
Who's
*Sapiens*. Hariri.
Hariri?
Yeah, let me find the name.
Okay.
Hariri, *Sapiens*. Yuval Noah Hariri.
Ah, yes, yes. Ah, Sapiens. All right.
*Sapiens*.
Okay,
Yeah, a
okay.
brief
Yeah, yeah,
history of humankind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I usually,
I
yeah,
yeah, like his book. Yeah.
I usually listen to it before going to like to sleep because it calms me
I do
down.
not recommend his books to be as for sleep meditation. No, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I realized it, but this is
Yeah.
how what I used it for because otherwise, I don't know, I just wouldn't turn it on. But actually, it gave me a lot of thoughts, and one of the chapters was about exploitation, society, and slavery, basically. And he mentioned that there is no single civilization in human history that wouldn't base on slavery. And he presented all sorts of examples. Also, the caste system in India, but also slavery in the United States, but also basically all sorts of kingdoms and empires that became great just because they could exploit some part of society or some group of people. So either it was through colonies or through just enslaving part of their own, or, you know, all
Well,
sorts of
I
models,
think, exploitation is part of the human nature. And we
which
are,
is terrible.
no, it's a fact. Once you accept it, it's a fact of human nature, then you know how to deal with it. Because exploitation, we might be thinking in a larger scale, actually physically or mentally exploiting somebody, but we are exploiting each other all the time in conversation. I want more acceptance from somebody. I don't I want a certain type of response from somebody, so I manipulate my words in order to receive that. So it is a form of exploitation, but I think the type of exploitation that you're referring to, it is it is something that makes us different from other species.
That's
Because
possible
in
because
the
there are many examples of cooperation between. No, no,
no,
it's not
because
so
what I
different. We're
mean
just,
is that
hey, look at parasites. We are a parasite.
um I wouldn't go as far as to call the human civilization a parasite, but
But
what I
that's the
mean,
idea of how we work. If it's exploitation is our part of our
paras
nature, then we are basically a parasite on Earth.
eh, I was promised quite a bit of pessimism, and I think you are delivering on it. But no,
You're welcome.
just kidding. No,
Anytime.
but what I mean is that the human nature is capable of tremendous things, and exploitation, which is a negative aspect of the human nature, is one of it. So it is in us all to find the space to balance it out, because while we are, as I mentioned, exploiting somebody for something, on this in the same instance, we are being super kind to somebody else. So that is the difference that I mentioned, that as a species uh, we have control of our minds. Because if we didn't, we would be just as animal as somebody other animals, as in the only option between us choosing to harm somebody or not harm somebody is our ability to control ourselves. We are exploiting them, but we are also telling ourselves that I could have done much worse. And that is the human nature. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it is right or wrong. I'm saying it is how we are designed. If something is to my benefit, I will make sure it happens. Now, if it comes at a cost of somebody, there comes the play of having learned about ethics, or morality, and your parents and your surroundings and your the village that brings you up has taught you. But sometimes people don't have are not lucky enough to have these lessons in life. They
That
learn
is
at a
true.
later stage.
That is
So
true.
everybody is going for a different journey. Yeah.
And I don't think that humans are all bad. It's like we're capable of greatness and goodness in the world, and we're creative and I think incredibly hardworking as a species. Like we've been, well, we do own this planet, and maybe unfortunately, but we've done a lot of
Do you think it
fantastic
would be
and also a
better
bit
for
worse things.
parasites to own the planet?
I still think we're a parasite, but very beautiful, and we can also make music, which is fun. But I think in order to not just be a parasite, we have to actually put work into it and be conscious of our actions and their consequences.
Okay.
So,
No, so using the word parasite, let's segue into the problems of immigrants in Finland.
smooth. How about
As
not?
many locals in many countries might consider immigrants in some way or form, um, not parasite, but some problems that they feel that they have brought. And this is not to generalize everybody. It's a very small portion of the population usually that feels that immigrants are the problem. But we must still address that, because even if it is a small population, it can have a large voice, and that can affect a large number of people.
Yeah,
So
and I think
yeah, so
we we're
tell me about your journey that you came from Poland, right? Like earlier you were working in Poland, you had a professional life.
yes, I had a professional life and pretty nice
Yes.
one. I was a manager in this cute little deli and cafe in a very nice district of Warsaw. Um, and I just followed my dreams, so I came to Finland. And one of the first um, clashes with reality was that from being a manager, a pretty respected profession and position, I couldn't find any job, and like the
When
best
you
I could
moved
get.
to Helsinki.
No, it was first in Turku.
Ah, first in Turku. Okay.
Yeah. And Turku is much smaller city that I'm used to. Like Warsaw is around, I don't know, 1.5, 2 million people,
Okay.
while Turku is 200,000
All right.
or something around that. And it's a city with, I think, two universities or even more, like many, many education.
It is a university town, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Which means a lot of young people, a lot of I don't know, basically cheap workforce, right? Because students are the ones who take all sorts of like easy entry level jobs.
Being exploited.
Um, yes,
All right.
yes, that's true.
Yes.
But also they are unexperienced, so they are getting the,
Yeah.
schooling and experience. So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
like they're not as exploited. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think if the worst situation is for immigrants there because um, many times they come with high educational background, a lot of experience, and still can't get any jobs in their profession, and they have to like they are only granted jobs that are like way below their possibilities and capabilities, and this is what also happened to me, and it was well, unfortunate. It was hard on me. I can't literally hide it, but I took what I could. I worked pretty hard for a while until I realized that I don't have any other options in there. Like being an immigrant in a small city, uh, and without like a real reason to stay there, I don't have motivation to really fight for it.
Mhm.
And that's why I decided to move to Helsinki. I started studying because I thought this may also bring some more opportunities. And it was very easy for me because I'm a European Union citizen,
Yep.
and that's why I could like basically participate in all sorts of support programs, some sort of, I don't know, benefits and everything. And I already feel that I'm very privileged in this situation, yet it was still very hard on me. So when I hear stories of my friends or acquaintances or just, strangers about their life here, I am shocked with their motivation, with their strength, and I don't know, they're just really, really strong people in my opinion because they came here from, I don't know, sometimes different part of the globe, right? From a different continent, and they're trying to their best to make a living here. Yet they are treated as if they came here to steal, to commit crime, and it's just heartbreaking. And these are people who are intelligent and I don't know, smart. They have all sorts of diplomas and that are sometimes not recognized here because they're from a, I don't know, wrong country. They have years of experience in some fields of professional life. And the best they can get here is being a cleaner or a vault driver, which is a respectable job as well. But
Yes,
mm,
all jobs are
all
fine.
all jobs are good and
All jobs are good, but
But I
If you
think
have a purpose
if
in
you
life,
yeah, I
then you
think
must find that.
exactly. And if you're coming from a very different situation when you I don't know, where for example in your home country you were working at a very different position that had more opportunities, more importance, or more
Respect
um
attached to it.
respect attached to it, and salary. Let's
Yes,
not admit
yes,
it, it's
yes.
really important. I think it's very hard on people to come here, uh, because they come here with a huge, like, great hope, either for themselves or for their families, for their children to get good education, and the the level of grit they present is through the roof. So I'm full of respect for these people.
I'm reading this book right now, called Tao Te Ching, and it's by this Chinese philosopher of Taoism.
Mhm.
And he has this lovely quote, which is, not only is development not inevitable, it is a slow and gradual process, every step of which has to be sustained by deliberate effort. And when I read this, I marked it and underlined it, and I wrote my date next to it because it really hit me. Because I'm in that, I feel like I'm in that phase as well.
Yeah,
That
it's very
is,
well put and
yeah.
strong word.
And what you just said, it feels like it really connected. So I wanted to share that. That's why it's that when you are not succeeding in life in the way that you think you should succeed, it feels like something is not, right. Something is not going well. And I think that is the time when we must, where you said that all these you know friends and colleagues and or from third world countries that come over from different continents or within EU, you know, they have the grit just as you do. Um, there's a strong mindset needed in order to survive that, and lot of people do. Some people find it difficult, and they have a journey where they get to finally figure it out for themselves that this is not the end, this is just the beginning, and it's just going to take a longer time than you expected. But you cannot lose the faith in optimism in order to get to what you really want to do. It's a
Exactly.
very good
And
example.
even I actually had a quite unpleasant conversation with my friend over the summer, and we were fighting over the like immigrants in Finland part of life,
uh,
basically. And you know,
your
I
friend is an
felt
immigrant too?
what?
Your friend is an immigrant too?
No, he's Finnish.
Okay.
And this is like I knew that he is politically a little bit more on the right than me. But when he started serving me all this kind of, immigrants are trouble and they cause crime and stuff like that, I was like, what are you talking about? I am an immigrant.
Yeah.
And but not you, not not like you kind of immigrant, the other immigrants. You're not like basically he was saying that I'm not an immigrant, so he means a different kind of immigrants. Like I think he doesn't understand that he puts everyone in the same bag.
When he says that,
And yeah, and it was quite hurtful for me. Um, I got really angry. We even didn't speak for some time, but
do I know this person?
no, no, no. I think he's a complete unknown for most of the people. He lives in the north, and
Well, now we know why he lives in the north.
yeah, and I think it also shows maybe in his perspective, because North is like even more Finnish, even less international, and I think
But
it's easy to look at it in a like very narrow. way
But
than.
it's not about actually less international. It's about l l closed mind or a less open mind. Because, India, I mention India because, and just so you know, I will edit this part into the podcast because we have already started kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I realized it,
Yeah.
but
But yes, so the main thing was that um, in India, we don't grow up around immigrants. It's not a lot of foreigners you see living in India. People are visiting all the time, but there's a very small section that perhaps immigrants of any ethnicity who move their life to live in India, which is changing nowadays. A lot of people are moving to India for different reasons,
really,
for their job, for their spirituality, for their different type of lifestyle, because it's cheaper to live in India because they earn in euros and dollars, so they can spend half of that money in India. So, it's more efficient that way. But yes,
yeah,
the
I get
point
it.
being, in India, we don't have this thing of people from outside that,
Yeah,
it's a problem. We have our own challenges, certainly,
yeah,
mentally, we all these complicated stuff of caste system, and people considering people who are from lower backgrounds in some ways as a problem or something. Those challenges exist, yes, but on a higher scale, on the topic of the country and the origination of that place from the stem of the concept of Hinduism, it doesn't matter, so we don't have such thing that, okay, like, if you are there, unless you give me a reason to be upset about, or unless you give me a reason to not trust you, you have my full trust, you know like, that's where it starts from, that's where it stems from. But
that's what I'm very not used to. I think we're brought differently in Poland. Yeah, I think especially here in Finland, it's it's just being tested in all ways, basically every day. Maybe with the exception of I don't know, 2 weeks in the summer where it's actually nice and life is easy and just pleasant to go through.
because people are not working, right?
Yeah. No, but also there is sun, which is
Yeah, that's true.
an important factor here. It's like I went for some holidays last summer and like just being on the sun gives you so much more energy and motivation to do anything. While
Sure.
here, even in like the warm months, usually the sky is cloudy
Very
and
great.
you just don't get the same
Yeah.
experience. So I think anyone who lives here just goes through a lot of difficulties every day to just live normally and go through all of this, through the snow, through the darkness, through, I don't know, maybe differences in culture that can be also difficult. Like, I still can't believe that I can't find some of the foods that were staple foods in my own home country. Like, I can't find my favorite cheese. That was, I would eat almost every day. It creates such a longing.
That is interesting because K supermarket has such a big aisle of cheese, like the big ones.
Yeah, but they don't have the
Which
one
cheese
I
is it?
like.
Which cheese is it?
It's a kind of like a fresh white cheese. It's called twaróg in Poland.
Farooq?
Twaróg, yeah,
Okay.
it's high in protein. It's very nutritious.
It's
It's
a name of a friend of my wife's. So I was like, Farooq. Okay.
yeah. It's the kind of like food that you can mix with something or eat on its own. It can be sweet, it can be salty. Like you can do anything you like with it, and it's just fantastic.
Okay.
I
Oh.
I can't I can't find it here. And
Have you tried Amazon?
oh, come on. I'm not gonna bring
I'm just
things.
asking. I mean, maybe it is on Amazon, and then
Maybe it is, but I also accepted that there are things that I just have to adapt to, and that's just is what it is. Sometimes you can't have everything you want.
or you could be the first uh, cheese importer for the Polish people of in Finland.
Honestly, I haven't met that many of them. I know they're here, but I just haven't met. So, like, I'm not gonna bring
All right.
cheese from Amazon just for myself.
Okay.
It feels like a bit of a bit too much. Mm,
But recently I heard about this new regulation or law about that we were discussing in our private Entergrate channel that University of Applied Sciences degrees are being not considered equal to other degrees. Can you share a little bit more about that? Like, what's that about?
yeah, I'm also maybe not fully informed about it, but from what I've heard, I think that it was Prime Minister who said that anyone who completed a certain level of education in Finland, like for example, bachelors, can get a permanent residency
Can't
easier.
get.
Can, like,
I
yes, is
can get.
able.
All right.
But it only applies to universities, not universities of applied sciences. And that's the difference because many
For
people come
immigrants.
here. Yeah, many people
Uh-huh.
come here and for the education, but also for to later make a living here, find a job and maybe stay. But they have huge problems with, first of all, finding a job here, but also with all sorts of like bureaucracy behind it. So, mm, to be able to stay here and not worry about, I don't know, getting deported if you don't have a job, you need to be a permanent resident, right? So people who completed education here in Finland on some level will be granted it much easier than others. It's a sort of incentive to apply and finish like graduate from Finnish schools, but also it gives opportunities for people who come here to study to actually stay. Because this is the big problem in Finland, that yes, like there is a high level of education and it's very respected internationally. So many people come here as an investment and they even like living here meanwhile, so they are thinking of staying. And I think Finland as a country also needs it. But then they graduate and can find a job. And then if they can find a job, they have to leave, which is a huge waste both for the people coming here, but also for Finland for like this unused potential, right? And for just time, effort, and money spent on it. So that's why I think it's a great idea to make it easier for people who already invested in coming here to actually be able to, participate in society as well. And I'm not sure why universities of applied sciences are not included in this idea because I don't know, it kind of sends a message that this is not equally well, equally good education, or are the students not good? Like, what's the deal with that?
Isn't it is interesting because as far as I understand, Finland has like the largest number of applied sciences university anywhere. I know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, and no, not like literally numbers, but itself in Helsinki, there are like six that I know, and there are like the major ones.
Yeah.
So in one little city of what? How many people are we talking about?
Here in Helsinki, I think, I mean, Helsinki itself,
Hmm.
it's like 600,000, but it together with Espoo and Vantaa, so the capital region in
Yeah,
general, is
yeah,
like 2 million, I think.
exactly. And in all that region, we already have six. So, and people, of course, like students, of course, come from different parts of the country to come over, but it makes it is questionable to to make such judgment on the degree, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I myself study at a University of Applied Sciences. Like,
Right.
I don't really, it's not my goal to like get permanent residency because I don't need to worry about it being a European citizen. But it makes me wonder, and since I also study with people from other countries, also from outside EU, I
And
worry about like
what
their
has their
life.
reaction been like? I mean, have you spoken to anybody who's like from
Not
outside EU about this?
not yet. Not yet. This semester, like I don't really spend physically at school, so I don't really meet many of them personally on a daily basis. So I didn't have opportunity to really talk to them as a group and them personally, but I think I'm gonna just ask for it directly because I'm curious of what they think. And since I also was tried to like advocate a little bit for their cause, being a student representative for 1 year, it was also a great opportunity for me to listen to like the Finnish perspective of how it looks like from a view of the school itself,
Hmm.
like directors there and people organizing our study schedule and study program. And
And what
something
was
that
that? And was that different? I mean, was that something that you were not expecting?
mm, nothing really shocking, but I think being an immigrant and going through struggles here makes it very easy to look at everything through a bias that people here are against us and they're doing things because they're mean. And it's not always like that. And mostly it's not. People actually are usually kind and try to
Yeah.
help us because this is in benefit of everyone.
Yes.
So it was for me a good reminder and also maybe an opportunity to understand it better. That they may, for example, not be aware of all kinds of or of kinds of our view on it, like what's the struggles we're having and what's the situation. And I was happy I
I
could bring it to them.
just to interject, I mean, I think Finnish education system or the society is has considered, or by the time we have arrived, has considered a lot of different aspects. Because one
Yeah.
of the things that was really new to me was the subsidized food in universities, right, in cafeterias.
Yes.
And that is a tremendous help itself,
I love
because
it. I
that
love the €3
yes,
lunches, you know.
exactly. Yeah. So it's not something that I was aware of anywhere, to be honest. I have studied with people from Germany, from Italy. I've studied a long time in Latvia, but and I never heard of these things. Of course, they have other programs perhaps and something similar, but this was quite new, and this made a lot of sense. And they did it from a different perspective. Of course, the Finnish government, I heard, they did it because there was a time when children were unable to eat.
Yes.
And there was not enough nutrition to go along, and the government decided that no, we need to make sure that at least one meal a day they are getting everything that they need, and that's where they came from. But it affects not only them now, but all the students. So they don't keep it sequestered to just the Finnish people. Every student who comes in studying in Finland has access to this. So that is really, really nice. So totally.
It's fantastic because something that was very new for me when I started studying here in Finland is that Finns see studying as a job.
Yeah.
It's my job to get the education, and that's why students are supported financially, but also by actions like, for example, these lunches. Because let's be practical. How much time it takes you to, plan the food, get the food, cook it, prepare, like preserved, and this is a lot of effort and time already that you actually should maybe could be putting into just studying and getting your education on a much um much deeper level, right?
Yeah,
You can
yeah, yeah.
devote much more energy into what you're supposed to do
Yes.
instead of just, struggling with everyday
Yeah.
gimmicks.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I was surprised of how seriously studying is taken here and having a completely different experience from Poland, where I think education is already pretty good, but like we don't get that much funding, for studying just because we're studying. It's like maybe not a privilege since everyone studies, but most people are
Is it
either
publicly
supported.
funded, like high school?
No, only
Up
like a
till high
small
school.
per yeah, it's not like they don't get
No state education.
yeah, people don't get benefits for on the like accommodation, and only a small percent of students get any like benefits based on studying, and it's only for the like the um top students, right? So everyone else just either has to be supported by their parents, not everyone is there, or just most people just work alongside studying. And I remember myself when I studied my first degree, it was physiotherapy, which required a lot of work on itself, and I still had to make a living. So at some point, I had daily studies and three different jobs, and honestly, it was like really exhausting. And I know that I couldn't put as much energy and time into studying. So, in my opinion, I could have learned much more, and maybe it would also give me much more passion for what I was doing, and instead I just landed a little bit convinced that this is not for me, and maybe it was a wasted time this way because I just couldn't devote it to what I was studying. So having this experience here in Finland where I am basically pretty comfortable just letting, I'm being let to study in my own time, and many things are made easier for me. This is fantastic. This is like how I can also put a lot of effort into things that can enrich my experience, like the volunteering or
Yeah.
getting into student associations or being a tutor or,
Yeah.
anything else that I see valuable.
Yeah, we
This
need
is
another
this is
podcast for
great.
just talking about that
Yeah,
because
that's true.
I mean it was just so much fun last year just
Oh
being in
yeah.
Helsinki and doing so much volunteering, which was also very new to me. I
Yeah.
mean that was there was lack of such opportunity, or perhaps I hadn't sorted, like gone out of my way to find out somewhere in Latvia or something. But it was tremendous. It was really really nice. The volunteer community or the student led organizations in Finland, it's a it's amazing.
Yeah, and I having already worked for salary, I many years I had this conviction that like I don't want to work for free anymore because this is, I don't know, a waste of time or lame, or I want to be more respected. But now, having done it already many times last year, I see how much I've learned through it. And this, okay, maybe I didn't earn money from it, but I learned experience. I learned a lot about organizing stuff, about how to deal with people, how to manage a group, how to, make introductions, how to, so many different aspects that I haven't really seen before,
Yeah.
and that I just now value really highly.
No, I feel the same. It's the way I put it is that I always used to wonder how did they put up this event, but
Yeah.
now I know. Because like I have blisters on my hand to show when I was cutting the TEDx sign. you know like
I
I
remember.
know there is real hard work. Somebody behind there is cutting that, or somebody behind there is arranging the team and talking to them and
Yeah.
dedicating their time just for free sometimes, because not every event is a big event that is being led by, fully funded organization or something, but sometimes it's just a small event and then people are dedicating their time to make an impact.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
also teaches you that if you want to do something, just you basically can, and with like very limited resources, and this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know if even it makes any sense to consider how many other opportunities it brings, because it's always like network and it's contacts, it's seeing new ideas, it's learning things about you haven't heard of before. That's, pretty great. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really, I'm really glad how I spent my last year. Even if it was super busy, I was, a step away from burnout again.
Okay.
Uh, but I think I just, squeezed these lemons to the fullest. I made
All
the
right.
lemonade.
All right. That's good. But I guess we are coming to the end of the podcast for today. But one thing I wanted to ask you that you could share with the audience is like, the question is the three things that you have learned in your time in Finland that can be helpful to future immigrants or as well as locals, and maybe even students, like three things that you would like to mention to them that they should keep in mind, or some lessons you have learned.
Oh, there's plenty of
But
but
let's keep it to three.
something that was very important for me, and it took me some time to discover it. When I moved to Finland, I already had some friends that expected my coming and helped me a lot, and I'm super grateful for everything they've done to me. So I thought, to like integrate into Finnish society, I have to mostly spend time with Finns. So I did, but it made me realize that they have a different set of problems than me. They don't understand my problems because they're not immigrants and they just don't know about things. So my first advice is to look all kinds of people, from locals but also internationals, because people have different perspective, different experiences. They know different things. They can show you shortcuts, they can show you ways, or just things you can get if you only know who or where to ask. And I'm very grateful for having both of these perspectives. I think if I closed in only one group, this would be very limited, and I think my life would go differently. So, also for people who come here and only spend time with internationals, you're missing out a lot from people, from Finnish culture, from Finnish perspective, also from like networking that you really need to do. It's really important in Finland. So you need to have both. You need to have different people around you, not only for like making a living, but also like for influences. You need to like have different sorts of thoughts and different, ideas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this is the first thing. Second is that life can be very difficult here, and it many times is frustrating. And I think it's good to remember that there are kind people around you, and it's good to ask for help. You don't have to do everything by yourself. People are really willing to do that. It's not a big deal. You just have to like ask, and they will help you. It will also remind you that people are not mostly against you, which is very easy to think. If you have like previous biases, and everyone has some, you can forget that people are in general they're kind, and they don't want to like hurt you or anything. So just be patient and ask for help if you need it. And third, um, I want to say buy everything made of wool because it's fantastic in winter. But I don't think it's a good life advice. It's just very
That's a
practical.
good one. Yes.
But yeah, buy everything from wool, especially woolen socks. They're fantastic, and all of Finnish grandmas make tons of them every year. No, maybe be open to newness, to novelty, because it can get you to unexpected places and things. Like I couldn't find, my favorite cheese, but I found other things that I like to eat, and this led me to, for example, discover a lot of local specialty stores, ethnic stores with like foods from other countries. This is a fantastic adventure. I love it. So be just open. Be open about other people, other places, and don't expect everything to go the way you thought it would, because it won't. Everything will go differently because it's a different setting and you can't really predict the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this lets you also to just a little bit be more okay with anything that comes. This was, yeah, this was the outcome I landed with
All
after
right.
many struggles.
No, no. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for joining with us today,
Thank
with
you
me
for
today.
having me.
Yes, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and really looking forward to our next conversation on volunteering. Maybe just that could be the topic. and
Oh, gladly. I
so
can
much
tell
to
you
talk about.
everything.
Yes, yes. All
I
right.
and thanks for making it easy for me. I was a little bit stressed, but I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, no, yeah, it went super nice. Yeah. All right. And then I'll stop recording.
Okay.
Yeah.